One of the knots that has nothing to do with fly fishing that I think is really cool was a knot that was shown to me by Robbie Delph. We've taken to calling it the Ninja knot. It has nothing to do with fly fishing. I just think it's a really neat knot. It's used to attach Power Pro, gel spun polyethylene, Super Braid, whatever you're calling it. It's all gel spun polyethylene. Used to attach that on a spinning reel to a heavier leader of fluorocarbon. And it's called the Ninja knot. What you do is you take your, and what you're trying to avoid is, everyone has always said that the best way to attach gel spun to fluorocarbon is a uni knot, and that's a good knot. It's not 100% strength wise, but the other issue is that it creates like sort of a barrel knot that when you cast has to get brought through the guides. It can throw off your accuracy. So this knot is an attempt to have your single strand of gel spun polyethylene transfer to your single strand of fluorocarbon without a really big knot as it goes through the guides. So I'll walk you through it. You take your gel spun polyethylene, I lay it on my first finger, and I wrap over itself a number of times like that. And then around my pinky, I wrap backwards about 6 or 7 times, and I do a half hitch around my pinky once and around my pinky twice. And that lets me maintain some tension of that line right there without having it fall off of my finger. So you take your tag end of your 60-pound fluorocarbon. In this case, we're using 50-pound gel spun to 60-pound fluorocarbon. And you put the fluorocarbon in the middle of this thing through it. And then as you pinch it in your fingers, you twist it and tighten down that twist like that. So what you're getting is, as you do it a few different times, you're basically plaiting or braiding that gel spun around the centerpiece of that fluorocarbon. It's the same way you would braid hair if you're into that, or braid anything else. The only difference is you've got 2 very small filaments in the gel spun polyethylene being braided around a center one. So the center one isn't moving, it's staying stationary, and your braid's happening around it. And when you get to a point where you've got about that much of a braid done, call it about 1 inch, I take the wraps off of my fingers. It's important that you keep, with your left hand, keep those braids there pinched. Those half hitches that you put around your pinky, if you pull this, they just come right out. And this is your tag end. Now you do a half hitch around the tag end of the fluorocarbon. And when you tighten it down, it's important that you tighten it without losing the braid on there. One of the things you can do is pinch it and just tug on it a little bit. So you've just done that half hitch with the tag end around the end of the fluorocarbon. And now you do 2 half hitches around both the gel spun and the tag end of the fluorocarbon. So there's one. And here's the second. Now at this point, you want to seat the knot. And it's important to watch the way it looks when it seats. You'll find that it'll slide a little bit, and you'll feel it sort of grip into that line. And what's happening is this gel spun is traveling through the last 2 half hitches that you did around the first one, and then it's interlocking with itself, and the harder you pull on it, the more it grips that line. And when it seats, what's happening is that gel spun is finding a place in the fluorocarbon where it's built a little groove, and the harder you pull on this, the harder it grips. It's like a little fist holding onto that line, tighter and tighter the harder you pull. You finish it with a 4-turn lock, the same way you'd finish a bimini twist. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to get fancy, you can do what's called back wrapping, where I'm wrapping this back around the tag end before I tighten it down. And then you just grab your tag end of gel spun and tighten it down against that. when you trim it, you cut the tag ends pretty close. You don't have to tie any sort of knot in the fluorocarbon. And that's it, the Ninja knot from Robbie Delph.